Good morning. This is Megan Kursik with the Community Economic Development Association of Michigan, and I would like to welcome you to Fostering Financial Independence, Local Strategies to Help Residents Increase Financial Stability. This morning, I'm excited to introduce to you a new area of the asset building field emerging nationally, municipal financial empowerment, or local financial empowerment, and to have you hear from local government officials in Michigan promoting financial empowerment through several projects in the greater Lansing community. I'm also going to provide information about how your community will have a chance to receive support from CEDAM, including training, technical assistance, and grant funding to replicate a specific local financial empowerment strategy, the Financial Empowerment Center model. Financial Empowerment Centers integrate one-on-one professional financial counseling with traditional supportive programs and services. I would like to begin by giving an overview of our agenda today. I'll start by introducing our speakers and then move to building the case for local financial empowerment. We'll look at what successes we have seen nationally that provide evidence for this emerging field. We'll hear directly from local officials in the greater Lansing area about their work in this realm, including the new Lansing Financial Empowerment Center, which is part of a national replication project supported by Bloomberg Philanthropies and the Living Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund. I will then provide a brief overview of the Financial Empowerment Center model and the Michigan Communities for Financial Empowerment Network at CEDAM, which is looking to support replication of the Financial Empowerment Center model in 2 to 3 communities in addition to Lansing over the next few years. We'll conclude with questions from you, our participants. Now to introduce our speakers. Eric Schertzing is the Ingham County Treasurer. He serves as co-chair of the Asset Independence Coalition and advisory council member to the Lansing Financial Empowerment Center initiative. In addition, he plays a critical role in the Ingham County Land Bank and supports homeownership and foreclosure prevention programs throughout Ingham County. Our second speaker is Antonia Kraus, who is the City of Lansing Treasurer. Like Eric, she serves as co-chair of the Asset Independence Coalition and advisory council member to the Lansing Financial Empowerment Center. Antonia played a critical role in the project development process of the Lansing Financial Empowerment Center and continues to integrate financial counseling directly to Lansing residents by referring city taxpayers to the counseling provided by the center. And finally, I am Megan Kursik with the Community Economic Development Association of Michigan, where I coordinate the Michigan Communities for Financial Empowerment Network. In that capacity, I led proposal development and initial implementation of the Lansing Financial Empowerment Center from May of last year to January of this year. Currently, I continue to provide support to Lansing's project, but am looking to engage 2 to 3 additional communities in Michigan to replicate this model with support from CEDAM. We will get to both Eric and Antonia later in the presentation, who will provide a Michigan perspective on this work. But first, I would like to begin by talking about the theoretical and practical cases for local financial empowerment. So a few years ago, Jonathan Mintz, the New York City Commissioner, coined the phrase the supervitamin effect. And this phrase encompasses the theory of change behind local financial empowerment. Because financial instability is often a primary cause of social challenges, by addressing this financial instability through the integration of financial empowerment activities with traditional anti-poverty programs, participants will be more likely to succeed overall. We define financial empowerment activities as things like financial counseling, so access to financial information, access to affordable banking products, and opportunities to save and build assets. In addition, local financial empowerment is a new and unique role for local government. The supervitamin aspect of financial empowerment makes it an important strategy for local governments who aim to support their residents to overcome poverty but must do so in an era of ever-decreasing resources and ever-increasing need. As stated by Jonathan Mintz, in times of increasing need and decreasing resources, local governments must find ways to do more with less. As a result of this belief, 12 city governments across the country began the work of municipal financial empowerment by bringing together various community stakeholders and developing programs and initiatives that help their residents increase financial stability and become financially self-sufficient. Now these cities make up the Cities for Financial Empowerment Coalition, which is chaired by New York City and San Francisco, and also includes the cities of Chicago, Los Angeles, Louisville, Miami, Newark, Providence, San Antonio, Savannah, Seattle, and the County of Hawaii. You can learn more about this national coalition at cfefund.org. Again, that's cfefund.org. Local government-led financial empowerment initiatives that have emerged both nationally and in Michigan have targeted one or more of the following 4 core goals. The first goal is to improve access to high-quality financial information, education, and counseling. Second is to connect individuals and families to safe and affordable financial products and services. Third, create opportunities to save and build assets. And fourth, protect consumers in the financial marketplace. So you see local financial empowerment strategies as really focusing on these 4 pieces of financial stability. So why local governments? Why is the role of developing a financial empowerment initiative considered an important job of local government specifically? First up, the ability to lead. Local governments are seen as leaders in the community. So local elected officials and their administrations can use this position to drive financial empowerment initiatives effectively. Convener. Local governments maintain relationships with important stakeholders in this work, even those not usually well connected to the asset building field in the past. For example, in addition to bringing together the usual suspects like nonprofits, service agencies, and other community-based organizations, local government can also ensure that employers, financial institutions, higher education, and others are at the table as well. Fundraiser and/or funder. As a strong contender for securing private sector dollars, local governments can fundraise to initiate a financial empowerment program. Then, if privately funded programs yield positive evaluation, local governments may be able to provide public funding to continue this work directly through the local government's budget. And finally, champion. With a community rapport and recognition, local elected officials can be the face of financial empowerment initiatives, drawing attention from stakeholders and funders, and perhaps more importantly, or most importantly, the community residents who financial empowerment initiatives are designed to serve. So as you can see, these 4 roles, leader, convener, fundraiser or funder, and champion, are really why it's important for local governments to specifically be involved in asset building and financial empowerment work within your communities. To conclude this section of the webinar before we get to our speakers, I'd like to provide some early evidence from the financial empowerment field nationally. One of the first local financial empowerment strategies to display positive outcomes in evaluation is the Financial Empowerment Center model, which integrates one-on-one professional financial counseling with traditional programs and services. The model began in New York City in 2008, and since then has generated positive participant outcomes for New Yorkers. Clients receiving counseling at one of the city's 30 centers have decreased debt by over $9 million and increased savings by over $1 million. In addition, evaluation of a similar model, which embedded financial coaching into workforce development and was led by the Financial Clinic, also located in New York City, yielded some evidence of the supervitamin effect that I introduced this concept with. Participants who achieved financial milestones as a result of financial coaching also achieved better outcomes in the workforce program, including increased weekly work hours and increased weekly wages. As a result, evidence that integrating financial counseling with traditional programs and services yields positive client outcomes led Bloomberg Philanthropies to invest $16.2 million in the Living Cities Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund to create a national replication of the Financial Empowerment Center model, with the goal being to take the first step toward dispersing this model across the nation in a variety of local governments and a variety of communities. Cities underwent a competitive process applying to be part of this national replication, which began with 50 applicant cities and was whittled down to 5 cities selected for funding to replicate this model. And these cities are Denver, Nashville, Philadelphia, San Antonio, and our own Lansing, Michigan. To continue the good work so generously started by the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund, the Michigan Communities for Financial Empowerment Network at CEDAM supports Lansing's Financial Empowerment Center and is dedicating resources to allow 2 to 3 additional Michigan communities to further replicate the approach. We will get to the Financial Empowerment Center model description and how CEDAM can help support your community in this work later in the presentation. But now I would like to move to our speakers, who will provide a background of their involvement with local financial empowerment efforts in the greater Lansing community. This is really your chance to get a Michigan perspective on this work. As part of their discussion, both will point to community pain points that they sought to address by becoming involved in financial empowerment. And they'll also talk about how their specific efforts target those pain points for improvement. First up, we have Eric Schertzing, Ingham County Treasurer, who will talk about the origins of the Asset Independence Coalition.
Thank you, Megan. Appreciate that lead-in. So locally, with Ingham County and the city of Lansing being the 2 largest jurisdictions participating, we have an Asset Independence Coalition that goes back about 10 years, my involvement 7 or 8 years back. The Asset Independence Coalition's primary role has been to do the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, and it was a coalition of nonprofits in the United Way. Hats off to Amanda Masters at the United Way for getting things going a decade ago, Peggy Vaughn Payne at Northwest Initiative. I came in a couple years later. As county treasurer, I see a lot of folks coming in. Almost 10% of the tax parcels in Ingham County go delinquent every year. And that's what, as county treasurer, I saw. And all of these people coming in paying, not all of them, but a lot of them paying with cash, which isn't the way that, I would generally pay a $1,000 or $2,000 bill. So after a few years of being treasurer, that kind of dawned on me that there's some inherent problems that we need to dig deeper into to try to address. The Asset Independence Coalition and the VITA program, were that avenue that I got active with. What I saw early on, though, and it's the point you addressed for the benefits of local government can bring to this, the nonprofits and the financial institutions had held this together wonderfully, got it going. United Way was a tremendous asset. But there was no institutional support really, backing it up. And I was able, in using tax collection and helping people with tax collection as county treasurer, I used that as a foundation for funding to bring some dependable, I think it was $8,000 in the beginning, so we're not talking huge figures. It's $12,000 now, so it's grown a little bit. But the organization knew that they could count on those resources every year and that they had the support of county government. Then a little bit after that, Amy Kraus has come along on behalf of the city of Lansing and Mayor Bonero and really been a tremendous addition and asset and passion for that. So I think the Asset Independence Coalition and the VITA work laid the foundation in the minds and in the network of nonprofits and folks involved in this locally to build financial empowerment upon. We also have a long history with a very active community action agency, and I've been on that board with city representatives and others also. So we've got those type of foundations, and did a really nice job with the VITA program without a lot of a lot of support. A lot of hardworking folks in the nonprofit community and volunteers have really made that a program we could be proud of, and gave us the foundation again to build financial empowerment on top of. And the benefits, I know for some county treasurers a little bit of a stretch to think of putting money into some of these things, but a huge number of the properties that we deal with are rental properties. So who we're really touching and interacting with a lot are the tenants that fit very much into the community that we want to bring financial empowerment to. And that's really been great to take the benefits of, tax collection as a foundation for funding and have many other people benefit and many other people get on board.
Thank you so much, Eric. So Eric provided a great perspective of how initiatives like volunteer income tax assistance can be a foundation for financial empowerment initiatives as they connect individuals and families with important resources, and then financial empowerment can build off of those initiatives to provide those individuals and families information about what to do with these additional resources, how to save, how to access affordable financial products as well. Next up, we will move to Antonia Kraus, who is the City of Lansing Treasurer, and she's going to provide some background of why Lansing decided to replicate the Financial Empowerment Center model.
Well, thank you, Eric, for the background on AIC and the wonderful lead-in. The leadership of Lansing, as well as Ingham County, is very aware of the needs in our community. The City of Lansing Charter mandates that we have 1.25% of our general fund go to human services through our Human Relations and Community Services Department. The city has also an investment in the community with my work through the Asset Independence Coalition. As with many initiatives, the two departments are not necessarily working together, even though we have the same end goals. So, in a sense, that's one pain point that doesn't necessarily maybe impact the citizens, but it impacts me as I like to try and keep things organized, and I like to herd, so I could probably be a partially Australian shepherd in my past. I don't know. But Lansing's fortunate to have a strong nonprofit network in Lansing. With our nonprofit network, and especially with the strength of the City of Lansing and Ingham County's relationship with the Asset Independence Coalition, we were primed to apply for the Financial Empowerment Center grant. So what really prompted us to do this? One, we knew that the grant needed a local government lead, so it was natural to look at the city to apply for the grant. That was not meant to be a slight to Ingham County at all, but it was just more of a function of the grant. We knew we had Ingham County support, and we appreciated that, but it was a local government had to be the lead on it. The city's involvement in AIC and the services we provide in the community were a natural springboard, as mentioned earlier. In addition, the leadership team of the Asset Independence Coalition kept looking for ways to integrate the services provided in our community, so the plan came together quickly. We were fortunate to have the assistance and leadership of Megan Kursik and CEDAM and the support of Eric Schertzing in the county. When the grant team came together, we knew the following. We knew that people were being served, but we knew we could do better. We have a large underbanked and unbanked population in our community. We also have clients seeking repetitive emergency assistance. Asset Independence Coalition had the VITA tax preparation. We also have the Bank On service, which helps people get second chance bank accounts. And we have the Financial Freedom Network, which allows, we were trying to consolidate all the various nonprofits' financial education courses into one calendar. We were just trying to consolidate, and then we ran out of options. We had VITA, Bank On, and the Financial Freedom Network calendar. but we knew there was more to do, but we didn't have the resources to go there. We also knew that we wanted to have professional and consistent curriculum within our financial freedom network. We did a survey of our VITA clients, and we knew that expanded services were needed, but we didn't have the traction, staff, or resources to expand our services within the Asset Independence Coalition. So when we saw the grant, we knew that this was a way to get where we wanted to be. We also knew that we could keep the core services of AIC intact and have the organization refer clients to and be a referral source for the center. Now that the center is running, we've expanded the reach of the current core services provided by AIC. We're not adding new services, we're just growing them and making them deeper embedded into the area. When we received the grant, we had thought Christmas came early. We had the format, the financial education curriculum, the staffing requirements, the marketing and the training, and most importantly, we had the funds to make this happen. It gave our earlier ideas legitimacy and traction. We now have what it takes to move beyond the Band-Aid approach to long-term behavior change, and we can affect our citizens who in turn have a positive effect in our community. By replicating a known model, we're testing a theory, not creating the logic. Instead of reinventing the wheel, we can prove that this model is scalable. As you heard through the 5 cities that got to receive the grant, Lansing's the smallest. We might be the smallest in size, but our energy and our desire is to be the best of the 5 at the end of the 3 years. This is a very high-profile opportunity for Lansing, and it's an opportunity to show what is right with Lansing. We expect through the counseling sessions that our citizens will have a better understanding of their personal resources and expect that they will be in a better financial position. We want to integrate financial empowerment with the traditional social services, which continue with the theme of pulling all the tools together into the same toolbox to assist our citizens. We would like to see an end to predatory banking and check cashing services. We want our citizens to be informed of their rights as it relates to areas such as credit and credit reports and financial services. For example, through the center, we found out that there was an unethical income tax preparer preying on the ignorance of their clients. We originally thought something illegal was going on, so we had the police department brought in. Turns out what was happening was not illegal, just unethical. But by having the police department investigate the situation, we put that tax preparer on notice that we are active and we are watching. The Office of Financial Empowerment is housed in the mayor's office. We now have the traction to get things done. By being part of the city, we were able to send the police to the site to investigate this tax preparer. We also have the opportunity to legislate through ordinances needed changes to protect our taxpayers from predatory practices and providers. We also want to reduce dependency on the food pantries and the food banks, emergency assistant requests, and the ever-pervasive repetitive requests. Through the center, we will, in terms of the proverb, teach people to fish. We have to reduce the stress on our service providers. We know that the center will provide the tools and opportunities for all segments in our society. In addition to serving the traditionally underserved segment of the population, we understand that there's a new poor that has been created by the economics of the past several years. We have a mature population that has been forced out of the workforce and can now give them tools to manage. We had a local instructor participate in the center recently. He's very bright, employed person, but wanted help with his financial planning and saving for retirement. While he's not a drain on our system now, when he is retired, if he wasn't positioned correctly, he could easily become a member of the retired poor. Through the budgeting and savings series, he can now prepare for his retirement. It is our goal and our expectation that the Financial Empowerment Center and the concept of financial empowerment will become a part of this community as much as being the state capital and having the Grand River run through our city. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy, for providing that background of why the City of Lansing has decided to embrace financial empowerment through the Financial Empowerment Center model. I'm seeing through the chat that we're having some audio difficulties, so I apologize for that. Can any of those of you who chatted earlier about audio, are you able to hear me okay right now? Okay, so I apologize that we're calling in from different areas, so I apologize for those of you unable to hear the speakers very well. Amy and Eric, when we get to questions at the end, if you can just talk very directly into your microphone, that would be wonderful when you speak. But again, I apologize to your participants for that piece of the technical difficulty, essentially. We will move on to the next portion of the webinar. I'll keep an eye on the chat box, so feel free to chat again if I ever go in and out, and I'll be sure to speak up. The next part of the webinar will be an overview of the Financial Empowerment Center model specifically, which is one of the menu of strategies used by local government to help residents increase financial stability. And it is also the approach, as you heard from Antonia Kraus, being replicated in the city of Lansing, Michigan, and the model I'm looking to replicate in additional communities in the state through support from the MCFE network at CEDAM. Just as Lansing is receiving support from both CEDAM, but more greatly financial support from the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund, I have resources including a funding opportunity for Michigan local governments to replicate this same approach. The model, just to overview, the model targets the first of those 4 goals we referenced at the beginning of the presentation: increasing access to financial information through the integration of financial counseling with traditional anti-poverty programs and services. Let's go over the key components of the Financial Empowerment Center model. First, professional. Counselors must complete a credit-bearing college course focused on financial topics and counseling strategies in order to be qualified to provide counseling at a financial empowerment center. Personalized. Because counseling is one-on-one and counselors are trained in a variety of topics related to debt, credit, savings, and banking, they are able to meet clients where they are at and set up a unique service plan that helps their clients to address their specific needs and financial goals. This is not a one-size-fits-all financial education course that doesn't get specific to an individual's needs, but this is a one-on-one conversation and partnership between a counselor and their clients at the Financial Empowerment Center. Integrated. The model requires that financial counseling be integrated with various programs and services through both co-location and referral systems. A wide range of community partners engage with the initiative so that residents can be referred to counseling through their interaction with community-based organizations, service agencies, financial institutions, employers, higher education, and more. And finally, outcome-oriented. Counselors record specific, quantifiable outcomes for each client. Therefore, counseling is driven by an attention to significant and tangible outcomes that represent real increased financial stability for clients. We're not just looking for anecdotal positive stories about the experience, but we're looking for real quantifiable outcomes. Examples of the outcomes measured by a financial empowerment center include decreasing debt by at least 10%, increasing credit score by at least 35 points, keeping a bank account open for 6 months, and increasing savings by at least 2% of net income. To ensure that the Financial Empowerment Center adequately integrates with a range of programs and services and other experiences like employment that target low to moderate income residents, local government must engage a broad range of partners. These partners include nonprofits, service agencies, educational institutions, financial institutions, and employers. Finally, the financial counseling provided by a Financial Empowerment Center focuses on 4 core service areas. These are debt, credit, savings, and banking. For information, resources, and support outside of these 4 topics, counselors are trained to provide strategic referrals to other programs and services in the community. This is what is so important about the model, and that it involves the elements of integration. Not only are a range of experiences from supportive services to employment to higher education integrated to provide referrals to the Financial Empowerment Center, but the center staff is educated in the range of supports available outside of the center throughout the entire community and is able to provide strategic referrals to those programs and services. So therefore, the center promotes cooperation between the various entities in a community serving residents, which allows for a collaborative and comprehensive anti-poverty strategy in that community. I'm hearing a question on the specific outcome measures, and we will actually get to that component in the question and answer session. We can start with that. So I'm going to conclude the content portion of the webinar by reviewing the Michigan Communities for Financial Empowerment Network at CEDAM and the various supports that the network will provide to local governments in Michigan interested in replicating the Financial Empowerment Center model. So again, this network is specifically for local leaders representing local government in Michigan that are committed to advancing financial empowerment initiatives in their communities. If you're on the call and you do not represent a local government, we can talk during the question and answer session, but also offline after this webinar about ways that you can engage local government in your community to do this work. To overview the supports provided by the MCFE network at CEDAM, first, training. So like this webinar, I provide web-based and in-person training to communities on financial empowerment strategies. I also make sure to connect representatives from local government that I've worked with other trainings provided by leaders in this field nationally, such as the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund. Second, technical assistance. This includes strategic planning, project development, fund development, and assistance with project implementation. Currently, as the network is concentrating on the Financial Empowerment Center model, this technical assistance will be specifically for those communities, those 2 to 3 communities selected for support to replicate the Financial Empowerment Center model in Michigan. And finally, funding. Over the next few months, I will be engaging local governments in Michigan in a competitive process to select 2 to 3 local governments for grants to replicate the Financial Empowerment Center model. If you are interested in learning more about this upcoming funding opportunity, please indicate so in the follow-up survey to this webinar, which will be sent to you via email. You can also contact me directly by phone or email after the webinar to get more information. So finally, just to review next steps, after the post-webinar survey is conducted and I receive responses, I'll be contacting each of you who indicated interest in learning more about the opportunity to get technical assistance and funding from CEDAM to replicate the Financial Empowerment Center in your community. I'll provide a space for a discussion around the specific needs your community has to do this work, and then actually put out a formal request for proposals to local governments to apply for this support. Again, I have to make sure it's known that for those of you not representing local government, in order to receive this funding, local government must be leading the initiative. So we can work on or talk about how you can engage local government moving forward if you would like to see the Financial Empowerment Center in your community. With that, I will conclude by showing contact information for myself, Eric Schertzing, and Antonia Kraus. If you look under my contact information, mcfe.cedam.info is the web address for the MCFE website, and I will be placing the recording of this webinar and materials regarding the content on this webinar up in the next few days, so you can reference that as a resource.